All right, so let's go here. So welcome to Koilel Kol Shira in partnership with Breslov.org. Baruch Hashem. And it's so good to see everyone back again. So good. Baruch Hashem. And Yaakov, you should have a refuah shalema. And
to everybody.
All Klal Yisrael, whatever you refuahs and Yeshuas that they need, Hashem should grant them. It's Hashem.
Shalom off the belt.
Mamish, B'Korev, Mamish. Okay, so, wow. Okay, it's Parshat Shemos. So we know we're starting the Tekufa known as Shevivim, right? We start this wonderful Tekufa, and it's Shemos, Va'era, Bo, Beshalach, Yisro, and Mishpatim, in other words known as Shevivim, right? And this is a special time the Arizal teaches for tshuva, especially for Pagama Bris and other things. And okay, so now there's so many things to discuss in this parsha. You never know really where to begin. This is really the parsha where Klal Yisrael learns about Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Rabbim Shal Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu, and how Moshe Rabbeinu, which was referred to as the Ish Mitzri, right, by Yisro's daughters, right. She said that the Ish Mitzri saved us, right. Very interesting ideas. Why was he called the Ish Mitzri, and really what was going on? The Al Shech HaKadosh has such a beautiful teaching on this idea. Of when they said it was the Ish Mitzri, really, what were they saying? They were saying it was because of the Ish Mitzri, right? It was because of the Ish Mitzri that Moshe Rabbeinu was here now to save us from the other shepherds. It was because of the Ish Mitzri. So the holy Shloah Kadosh asked, so really, but was it really the Ish Mitzri? Maybe you could have said it was Dasan Vavira, right? Because they were the ones that ratted out Moshe Rabbeinu to Paray, and they said, wait a second, maybe it wasn't even Dasan Vavira, maybe it was Paray, because if Paray didn't decide to send his henchmen to kill Moshe Rabbeinu, so then Moshe Rabbeinu would have been in Mitzrayim and he wouldn't have helped us, right? You ever think about that, Yehuda? Interesting ideas. Interesting ideas. So the Holy Shloah Kodesh, he brings a most beautiful teaching from the Arizal. I'll just say it very, very short. He was really saying, and then Yisro tells his daughters to bring him in so he can eat bread. So it says the Shloah Kodesh in the name of the Arizal. This is really a Gilgal on the Shemus that's going on over here. What was going on? The Holy Shloah Kodesh says that really Yisro was a Gilgal, a reincarnation of Cain, and Moshe Rabbeinu, the Zohar says, is a reincarnation of Hevel. Interesting, right? Hevel. What happened? Cain wound up murdering Hevel. And then it says that the earth opened up its mouth. It opened up to take the blood of Hevel. Remember that? The earth opened to take the blood of Hevel. Now, what happens over here? This is, I'm telling you, you gotta buckle up. I'm telling you, this is amazing. says the holy Arizal, the Shloah in the name of the Arizal. And what was going on over here? Cain Yisro understood that this was a much deeper story going on, and he wasn't sure. Was this really Moshe Rabbeinu? Was this really the reincarnation Hevel to make a tikkun for what went wrong? What went wrong with Cain and Hevel, where Cain murdered Hevel? So what does Yisro do? He gives him over his daughter in order to be Yakim Shem, right? In other words, what does he do? Because the earth opened up and it took the blood, right? There was no offspring. Hevel never went. It was on the first day. He didn't have a chance to have children. Nothing. So Yisro gives over Tzipora to Moshe Rabbeinu, which says the Shlo which was a reincarnation of Hevel. So now he can make a rectification for causing for murdering him, and now he can have children. It's an amazing idea. Then we see in the story that when Moshe Rabbeinu was traveling with Tzipora, right? So it says that they stopped off by the Malon, the hotel, right? And then came a snake, right? It came a snake and attacked Moshe Rabbeinu. A snake. What's going on over here? So Rashi brings down really what was going on there. That Moshe Rabbeinu didn't give a bris milah to his children. So why didn't he give a bris milah to his children? Because he didn't know when HaKadosh Baruch Hu would tell him to go back to Mitzrayim. And we know that on the third day, we know from Avraham Avinu, right? From Avraham Avinu, the third day is a very hard day to travel after the bris, so he pushed it off. So the Rashi brings down in the name of the Medrash, right? The Medrash says that Tzipora understood already why was Moshe Rabbeinu's life at risk over here now? Why was the snake attacking him? Because he didn't do a bris milah. So what does the Medrash say? Tzipora took a stone. She took a rock, a stone, whatever it was, and she quickly cut the milah, the skin off the children, and Moshe Rabbeinu was saved. Moshe Rabbeinu was saved. So you see here now that not only did Cain, which is now Yisro, that he's the reincarnation. He gave over his daughter now to Hevel. Not only that, now you see where the daughter of Yisro, which was the daughter of Cain, so to say, now saves his life, saves Moshe Rabbeinu's life. Then he goes on to say something amazing. Mamish amazing. He goes on to say that, later on we're going to have Kairach, right? Kairach again was a Gilgal, another Gilgal of Cain. Was a Gilgal of Cain, and Moshe Rabbeinu again was Hevel. And Cain again attacks. Here he goes now. He goes and attacks Moshe Rabbeinu. So what happens over there? The earth opens up and swallows him in. The same way the earth took in the blood of Hevel, now the earth opened up and swallowed up Cain. And Chazal tell us, right? It's brought down in the Gemara that what? That Kairach and the people that got swallowed up are screaming, Moshe emes v'sayrasa yemes. Moshe emes v'sayrasa yemes. Unbelievable. Until the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. So you see, I'm just telling you over some beautiful ideas. You see behind these stories, there's so much stuff going on that it just you could mamish go out of your kelim just realizing that any word you read in the Torah is so deep and there's so much behind the scenes. It's fascinating. It's mamish a fascinating idea. It's the whole idea. So let's see now something a lesson that maybe we can take for ourselves from Reb Nosson. And he has a beautiful idea that Mi Hashem asher eshma b'koilei. So Moshe Rabbeinu is by the sneh, right? He's by that sneh. Ve'enei ukal, right? He sees the sneh is baya be'esh ve'enei ukal. He sees it's burning and it's not being consumed. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, "No, you're supposed to go to Paro." And he says, "Who am I? I have a covered peh. I can't speak well, right?" They say, where did Moshe Rabbeinu get the covered peh? Do you remember? Do you remember where Moshe Rabbeinu got the covered peh? The Medrash says that Paro's advisors, the astrologers, saw that this guy, this little boy Moshe Rabbeinu, was going to come. It was going to be a child that was going to take out the Jews from Mitzrayim. and they told it to Pari. And they so then Pari said, "I'm going to do a test. I'm going to do a test to see how smart this little boy really is. Right? I'm going to do a test to see how smart he is." And what did he do? He set up in front of the little baby. He set up a big pot of gold, something with gold, some gold vessels. I don't know exactly what it was, but something with gold, shiny gold. And he put another one with fire. And he put them in front. He wanted to see how smart he was. So Moshe Rabbeinu right away was going for the gold. Hey, gold, right? The Malach came and moved his hand over to save him, moved his hand over to the fire, and Moshe Rabbeinu wound up taking the coal and he wound up putting it in his mouth because he was a baby. He didn't know. He put it in his mouth and he burnt his mouth, so he had a covered peh. Amazing. So let's see what Reb Nosson has to say. Parayama mi Hashem. He says, okay, who's this Hashem? Ki kofa b'shem Hashem. Because Paray was kaifer. Kaifer means to be like he was a heretic. He didn't believe in the name of Hashem. He protested against the name of Hashem. Ki achizasei oya b'shem elikim. He was more connected to the Elokim. He wasn't connected to the Yud Kei Vav Kei. He was more Elokim, Kamuv of Elokim, Gematria Hateva. And the idea of Elokim is the same numerical value of Teva, nature. Everything is nature, everything's happenstance, everything happens by a nature. That's what he was connected to. Shul pulos mishtanis. Or a lot of things changing. We'll see in a minute. Uparay kafabik avirotza lahafrid chas v'sholem bein Hashem leilekim. Paray wanted to make this separation between the Shem Yudkei Vavkei and Elokim. He wanted to say that there's a Shem Yudkei Vavkei. Maybe there's a Yudkei Vavkei, but what do I have to do with him? The world is all teva. It's all nature. It's all happenstance. That's all it is. That's all the world is. This is what Pari was saying. Ki lo haya ma'amin shepules mishtanes nimshochem me'echad ha'poshet yizbarach. He didn't want to admit that yes, there's an Elokim and there's Teva, but who's running the Teva? Who's behind the Teva? Who's running everything in the world? That's the Echad HaMiyuchad. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Echad HaPoshet Yizbarach. Shu Yizbarach Meishel Bakoil. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs everything. V'chol Anhogos HaMarechos V'Teva Shein Pulos Mishtanos. And all of the constellations, and all of the Teva, all of nature, and all of the things that are constantly changing in the world. All of those things, kizeh adavar mechayev kriyos v'zeh heipech v'kiyotzei. Hakol nimshach mimeni yizbarach. All of that is mamish just from the Rabbeinu Shalom. Yes, it's true that there are things changing, but we have to understand, everyone, that this is mamish the Rabbeinu Shalom. Shekol hapulas mishtanes habayim ayidei tivei hamarachas. Everything happens because the constellations are constantly changing. Things are changing. Things are changing in the stars. We see about the stars when it was by Avram Avinu. Avram Avinu saw in the stars that he wasn't going to have any children. Remember? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what did he do? He lifted them up above the stars, and he said, "Look down, Kol Yeh Zaracha." Remember? In other words, this was the problem that the world was so involved in nature, that everything is nature. Everything is just happenstance in the world. This is what the world was. This is what the world is today. What do we have going on today? It's all whatever they do things. They run everything, right? The Biden guy, that biggest jerk, he thinks he's running everything. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think so because he didn't even know his name. He doesn't know. Right? These guys, right? They think they're running everything. They think they're in charge. Wow, unbelievable. But really, it's all the Rabbeinu Shalom. Kulam nimshachem meyechad apashit yizbarach biyodai l'shanoisam kiritzayne. HaKadosh Baruch Hu changes everything the way He wants it to be. Everything going on in the world is exactly the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wills it, not the way they want it to be. It's all the Rebbeinu Shalom behind everything. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu does everything in order to bring us back to tshuva. Hashem wants to bring us back to tshuva. We should all return back to Him. That's all the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. He wants all His children to come back to Him. Aval al yedei gulas Mitzrayim, through the gula, through the exile, through the exit of Mitzrayim. Al yedei hamoivsim hanayram shlas Hashem yizbarach v'shida marachos. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to prove this point? What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do with Mitzrayim? All of the different nisim, all of the different miracles, the 10 plagues. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? He made a mockery out of Mitzrayim. He made a mockery out of them, right? Saying that you think that there's no Hashem, it's only Elokim. I'm going to show you, I'm going to run the Elokim, and I'm going to make you understand that I'm behind the Elokim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed the whole marachas, everything. Look what he says now. Val yedei zeh nisgala kol hapulos mishtanes habayim al yedei hamarachos kulam nimshachem meyechad hapashit yizbarach. Yes, there's a lot of things changing, but it's all via Hashem. Val yedei zeh nisgala ki Hashem hu Elokim. Hashem hu Elokim. The Shem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is Elokim. There's no difference between Hashem and Elokim. Hashem is Elokim. Elokim is Hashem. It's one. Like we say in Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and Elokeinu, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and Elokim is one. This is what it's all about. K'may Shama Yisro. Ata yadati ki Hashem hu Elokim. What did Yisro say? Ata yadati. Oh, Yisro was able to say that. Yisro was able to say that because Yisro was a master in every single avodah zarah. Yisro was able to say that because he worshipped every single avodah zarah in the world. And like we said with Yisro, but Yisro was trying to make his tikkun. He was searching for the Rebbeinu Shalom. He was searching for the truth. He didn't know. So he went and he served every single idol. Every single one. You know, Paro had that big book of gods, right? He had that big book. Yisro knew every single one of those gods. He knew every single one of that nonsense. He did everything. He served every one of them. Could you believe that, Trevor? Could you believe that? Yisro. But what does Yisro say now? Ata yadati. Now I know. Ki Hashem hu Elokim. Oh, because he understood. Yisro, we know, is one of the advisors of Paro, right? And Paro loved Yisro because he was involved in all of the avodah zarah, and he was involved in all of the things. It worked perfectly for him. But as soon as Yisro realized that there's nothing to any of these idols, and this is all a bunch of nonsense, Paro didn't want him anymore. But Yisro was the kohen. He was the kohen of Midian. He was the kohen. Why was he the kohen? Because he was the priest serving all these things and and he was well known by everybody. He was the big macher when it came to the avodah zarah. Anyone needed any advice on any avodah zarah, what to do with it, they went to Yisro. But Yisro said, no, I'm done. He quit. That's why Yisro's daughters had to be the shepherds, right? They were the shepherds of his flock. Why were they the shepherds of his flock? Why? Because no one would work with Yisro. No one wanted to deal with Yisro. And listen to this. The Shlach Kodesh says something on this. I just remembered this also. Yisro had the sheep. He had many sheep, right? We can understand he had many sheep if he needed all his daughters to flock, to shepherd the sheep. There must have been a lot of sheep. So what did Yisro do? He gave all the sheep over to who? To Hevel, to Moshe Rabbeinu. Really, who owned the sheep originally? It was Hevel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Hevel all the animals. Cain got the earth, right? But now here Yisro, which was the Gilgal of Cain, he had the sheep. So everyone was saying to Yisro, hey, listen, these sheep you have are not your sheep. You stole them. They were all stolen. They all belong to Hevel. So when he gave back, so it says this, look, fascinating. So now he makes a tikkun by having Moshe Rabbeinu be the shepherd. He's giving over the sheep back to his rightful owner, to Hevel. Fascinating. How do you like that, guys? You ever hear such a thing like that? You ever hear such a thing like that? Unbelievable. The sheep that he had weren't really his sheep, because Cain didn't get sheep. He gives it over back to Moshe Rabbeinu, which was the reincarnation of Hevel. Fascinating ideas. I'm telling you, Mamish, it's the most beautiful things when you understand really what was going on behind the scenes. Okay, now, Ati Yadati Hashem Elokeim. U'k'moshe kosev b'matan Torah, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, asher hotzisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am Hashem Elokecha. Look what it says. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am Hashem, your God. Hashem Elokecha, your God. I am, says Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and I am Elokim. I am Teva. It's not that there's Teva. The same way the gematria of Elokim is Teva. The same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, yes, there is Teva, but I run the Teva. Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am the one that took you out. By changing all the marachas, all of the different constellations, and changing everything, that's how you came out of Mitzrayim. That's how you were able to get out. Kizeika Yetzias Mitzrayim, that's the main Yetzias Mitzrayim. Ki Hashem hu Elokim. And this is what we have to remember this all the time. And that's why the Parshat of Yetzias Mitzrayim is in Kriya Shema. Why did Chazal put that the Vayom Hashem Moshe v'daber Yisro matan v'asal tzitzis? The tzitzis and Mitzrayim is in the Parshas of Kriya Shema. It's part of the Parsha of Kriya Shema. Why? Because it's really one. We have to understand that the whole idea of Yetzias Mitzrayim was all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is Elokim. Niskala ki Hashem hu Elokim. V'zeh b'chinas galus ha'achdus ha'pashut pulos mishtanos, that's showing that there's only the oneness of the Rebbeinu Shalom. With all of the changes and everything going on, it's really you, Hashem. Shekol ha'pulos mishtanos nimshochem me'echad ha'pashut yisbarach. It's all from you, Hashem. Ki Hashem hu Elokim. Mamish, we could say this all day. We have to remember this. And when can we say this so clearly? When do we say this? When it comes to Yom Kippur. But when on Yom Kippur do we say Hashem hu Elokim? Only at Nila, at the end of the whole Yom Kippur, when we have clarity in our minds, and we recognize this idea that Hashem hu Elokim, and we could scream it out and mamish believe it, that we could believe the idea of Hashem hu Elokim at that time, because everything is so clear to us. We're not connected to the other side. We're not connected to the Yetzer Hara. We were just fasting. We weren't wearing shoes like the way the Malachim don't wear shoes. We're wearing white the same way the Malachim wear white. We're doing everything the way the Malachim. So then we can mamish say we have clarity. Hashem hu Elokim. Hashem hu Elokim. Ki Hashem hu Elokim. Hashem echad u'shma echad. Hashem's name is one, and Hashem is one. Baruch Hashem le'olam amen v'amen. You know, it's a beautiful thing. If you ever went to a shir with by a Sfardi, the Sfardi Rabbanim, they always would end the shir. Baruch Hashem le'olam amen v'amen. That's how they ended their shir. Beautiful idea how Rav Nosson ended off this Torah over here. This is in Hilchos Pesach, Daled, Ois Yud Zayin. So I just thought this was such a beautiful idea, really to understand everything going on. When Pare says, who's Hashem? Hashem says, you want to know who I am? I'm going to show you who I am. You're going to learn the hard way. You're going to take this lesson, and you're going to get this lesson, and this lesson is going to be a difficult lesson for you. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu proved it. And this is mamash what we have to remember, especially today. There's such things going on in the world, so much stuff going on. And it's really all running via Hashem, and how we're going to, if we could recognize that no matter what's going on in the world, it's really you, Hashem. And if we can mamash believe that it's only the Rabbeinu Shalom, that's the biggest tikkun that we can make for ourselves. That's the best thing that we can do possibly. If we can recognize it and go through anything that's going on in the world, we attribute it back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Does anyone have any comments on this? Rabbi Yaakov, you don't want to say anything? Really? I'm so happy you're back, but you always would have so many nice comments. Please, if you want to say something, please, Rabbi Yaakov, grace us.
I love this class.
Well, we love you too. Okay, very good. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Okay.